Well, this is the first time that Santos admitted that he lied about key details in his resume. He said in an interview with the New York Post and a local radio station that he did not actually work for Citigroup or for Goldman Sachs, even though previously on the campaign trail he said he did. Now Santos is saying that he only worked for them through his company, and so he called it a poor choice of words to suggest that he worked directly for those firms. But Santos also admitted that he never graduated from any college or university after previously claiming that he received degrees from both NYU and Baruch College. Now, he said he was embarrassed and that essentially he just talked it up to embellishing his resume and that everyone did it. So essentially he was trying to downplay this entire controversy. And he said while he is guilty of twisting the truth, he is not guilty of committing any crimes. Take a listen.
I'm not a criminal, not here, not abroad, in any jurisdiction in the world have I ever committed any crimes. To get down to the nitty and gritty, I'm not a fraud. I'm not a criminal who defrauded the entire country and made up this fictional character and ran for Congress. I've been around a long time. I mean, a lot of people know me. They know who I am. They've done business dealings with me. I'm not going to make excuses for this, but a lot of people overstate in their resumes or twist a little bit or ingratiate themselves. I'm not saying I'm not guilty of that.
Now, Santos did not answer questions about his charities, claims that he made about his heritage, and questions about his financial disclosures and whether he followed proper protocols. And so there's still a lot there that we don't know that is unanswered for. I suspect this will not quell the calls for him to not serve in Congress. So far, however, Pam, GOP leaders are silent.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if that stays that way after this interview. Did he say why he made those statements in the first place? What was his reasoning, for example, saying that he graduated from had degrees from these two colleges, and yet he never had a college degree?
Yeah, he didn't really give a reasoning other than trying to suggest that it's a common trait to lie on your resume or to embellish a little bit. But Pam, this is a big deal. He is about to serve as a member of Congress. He misrepresented who he was. In normal circumstances, if someone lied on their resume, they probably would be fired. But in this case, it's up to the voters to decide. And if he chooses to stick around, there's not much anyone can do unless Congress decides not to seat him. But that is a decision up to GOP leader Kevin McCarthy. And as of right now, like I said, he's silent, and he probably needs every speaker vote he can get next week.
Yeah, he does. Wonder if that's a factor in all of this. Melanie Zanona, thank you so much. Perspective now from CNN political commentator Scott Jennings, former special assistant to President George W. Bush. Also, CNN political analyst and Axios managing editor Margaret Tlaib. All right, Margaret, starting with you here. So Congressman-elect Santos has admitted to essentially fabricating his entire resume, top to bottom. He downplayed it as resume embellishment, something we all do. We all embellish our resumes. Is that all this is?
You literally can't believe anything he says. It's not that any of this is okay. It's not just his job history. It's not just his educational history. Even down to his claim that one of his companies had lost 4 employees in the Pulse nightclub shooting 6 years ago. Turns out that's not actually true. There are people who maybe were going to go work for him. Like, there are questions about his background in Brazil. There are a myriad of questions, but the bottom line is, here's the question: what could block him from being seated? Probably nothing. There are age requirements and citizenship requirements to be seated in Congress. As far as we know, he's still 34 and he's old enough to serve in that job. And of course, remember, Kevin McCarthy does need his vote. Kevin McCarthy needs every vote in the Republican caucus to ascend to the speakership, just about. So this really may be an instance where the question is he going to face ethics investigations in Congress? And again, the answer to that question right now may well be no. The Attorney General in New York has said that her office is going to look into investigating his background. But again, this really may be an issue for voters 2 years from now. It's an astonishing story. And the congressional district is one of the wealthiest in the country. These are very, very plugged in, engaged voters, or they should be.
Right. I mean, they were voting for someone based on a resume that was false, right? Santos Scott has vowed to be sworn into Congress and serve his term. Now, as Margaret laid out, there's really not a whole lot you can do to prevent that from happening. But do you think he should bow out, or do you think that he should still move forward as he has said he will do?
Honestly, if he had in a shred of self integrity, he would bow out because he made up a whole story, sold it to the voters, and he got elected. And so, if he really meant what he said in his interviews today, he would resign and then run on his actual resume and see what the voters had to say at that point. I mean, that would be sort of the honest and honorable way to handle it. He's obviously not going to do that. I mean, you don't want to play golf or cards with this guy. I do think you want to see this guy put before the ethics committee. It strikes me that he may have financial disclosure issues. And it also has the smell, the whiff of other shoes that are about to drop. I don't know anything, and we've got reporters working on it, but you just get the feeling, even after all we learned today, there could be more. So, look, he's obviously not an honorable person. I doubt he resigns. And if the voters get a chance to deal with it in 2 years, I'm sure they will.
Yeah, reporters are looking at everything. The financial disclosure is so much more because he has not addressed other issues that have come up, as Melanie said, even the charities that were listed on his resume. So House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy so far hasn't addressed this controversy as we've laid out. More could come out. Now that Santos has admitted this, so Margaret, what do you think? I mean, can he continue to ignore this?
I mean, Kevin McCarthy is certainly going to be asked about this, and so is Santos. Every place he goes, every corner he turns, what committees could this person serve on? If you're a constituent and you are trying to engage with him, like how much money, how much faith can you put in his response? So I think this is a real credibility problem. But in terms of what's going to happen, it certainly seems like he is going to be seated when Congress begins.
All right, Margaret, Scott, great to see you. Thanks for coming on tonight.